Hey there, I'm CJ Miller. I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana. Across the Red River is beautiful Bossier City, Louisiana. And yeah, I'm here with my guitar. I'm going to do some music. I'm actually kind of celebrating. The reason I lost a button on one of my favorite shirts, and I thought I was going to have to, I don't know, scramble to find a button or redo all the buttons or whatever because I really liked the pattern of the shirt and I wanted to save it, but I found the button in the laundry. It came off in the laundry. So now I just gotta find thread that matches. It's a white thread, but also if it's not the same type of thread, it's gonna be glaringly obvious that it was rethreaded. And I'm either gonna have to find the same kind of thread, or I'm gonna have to re-string up all the other buttons that'll look the same, unless it's like, I don't know, it's weird, but I hate sewing. I got a friend, I think I'm gonna reach out and ask if she'll do it for me, and I'll give her some money or something, I don't know. But I've got my guitar, and I'm gonna do some music. Oh, and by the way, so in the Shreveport Bossier area, we're going to be moving into um, spring, going into summer festivals and things like that. So look for me to start posting more along the lines of those things in the near future. Now, blue ain't the word for the way that I feel, and a storm is brewing in this heart of mine. This ain't no crazy dream, I know that it's real. You're someone else's love now, someone else's love now, you're not mine. Crazy arms, they reach to hold somebody new, but my yearning heart keeps saying you're not mine. My troubled mind knows soon to another you'll be wed. That's why I'm lonely all the time. Please take these treasured dreams I've held for you and me. Take all the love I thought was mine. Someday my crazy arms will hold somebody new. Right now I'm so lonely I could die. Crazy arms, they reach to hold somebody new, but my yearning heart keeps saying you're not mine. My troubled mind knows soon to another you'll be wed. That's why I'm lonely all the time. That's why I'm lonely all the time. That's why I'm lonely all the time. That was an old song, Crazy Arms. I think most of the songs that I know are like really old songs because I play acoustic. Because when I started to learn, I just had an acoustic, and I was subletting from a friend of mine. He's a great guy that I've known for a while, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll take a chance. You could come and sublet part of my house." And I ended up, uh, subletting for God, almost 5 years, going on four, almost 5 years. I mean, I probably up to that point, the longest I'd ever stayed in one place. And so the lesson that I got from that experience is that I can settle long enough to get some roots. And then I came back downtown, and I did live in an apartment for about 5 years. And then I moved into this apartment, and I've been here, going on about 4.5 years, going on 5 years, whatever. But I'll probably stay here for a while. The rent's good. I mean, it's got issues. It's got problems, you know. But there's no such thing as a perfect rental situation, especially if you're renting in an apartment, in an apartment building or something like that. I would love to be like in a house where it's just me, and then I can plug in and I can practice some electric stuff. But I'll tell you what I don't want to do is I don't want to do yard work. You know, I'm like, oh my God, I'm in my 50s, right? I don't want to do yard work. Okay. What are some songs that I know to do? This is a set of songs that I want to do without having to look at notes. Usually when I do some videos or something like that, I've got like notes with lyrics and chords and everything, and it's like I'll make a little video and I'm trying to do it, and I'm trying my little heart out to be good. Although really I just want to have fun and relax with it. That's what music is about for me when I'm playing. So it's like, wow. You know, then I gotta like, you know, let's see what's up. Let's see. Finally figured out, but it took a long, long time. Now that I turn about, maybe it's 'cause I'm trying. There's been times I've been so confused. All my dreams on my roads, yeah, they lead to you. Just can't turn and walk away. Hard to say what it is I see in you. Wonder if I'll always be with you. Words can't say, I can't do enough to prove it's all for you. God, that sucks. That sucks. That is, well, it was my rendition of All For You from Sister Hazel, but even I can do better, so let me try again. Finally I figured out, but it took a long, long time. Now there's a turnabout, maybe it's 'cause I'm trying. There's been times I've been so confused. All my roads, they lead to you. I just can't turn and walk away. Hard to say what it is I see in you. Wonder if I'll always be with you. Words can't say, I can't do enough to prove it's all for you. Rain comes pouring down, falling from blue skies. Words without a sound, falling from your eyes. We just can't turn and walk away. Hard to say what it is I see in you. Wonder if I'll always be with you. Words can't say and I can't do enough to prove it's all for you. Whatever. I really should learn that whole song if I'm going to try to do it. There's like a whole second verse before we get to the bridge, and yeah, whatever. So, and they did their version of it. It's that their version of that song is an alternative garage, uh, you know, pop era. You know, when like in that mid '90s when uh, grunge had come and gone, and we had gotten through the era of the boy band. It had peaked. There was a whole boy band thing, and they all kind of came and peaked, and then they went. And then on the heels of that, we started to get the alt rock, which was kind of a combination of that pop and garage sound grunge. Just like what would happen if you actually took grunge people and gave them, a bath or whatever. And so we started to get from that. I guess we started to get acts that started out in the garage as garage bands and everything like that, but they were more simplistic and pop oriented, and they were the three-piece bands that came out. Ben Folds Five was a three-piece, I believe, and then Marcy Playground was a three-piece, and it was like very simple chords, and so some of those songs I picked up and I learned how to play in that, just real simple, and so yeah, this song that I just played, "All for You" from Sister Hazel, kind of fit into that vein. But then Sister Hazel transitioned to country music, and so I don't really know where that song fits in, if it's part of the repertoire or not. But it is their big hit, and whatever. So, and then they started to do, country or whatever. But that's not the first time. Country and rock have bled over each other. Sometimes they were blended together and mixed together like a fine recipe, such as the country rock of the, California folk kind of became country rock, in the 70s with bands like the Eagles, and of course Linda Ronstadt, Jackson Brown, all those people, uh, Emmylou Harris, whatever, and from the countryside, you had Eddie Rabbitt and Crystal Gale and Kenny Rogers having crossover hits, and of course Dolly Parton was always country, but she had influence because she was such an American icon. She became that American icon so much that her music really influenced a lot of musicians, uh, and that's why she got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, even though she wasn't a rock musician and she really didn't do a lot of rock. But she did throughout her career every once in a while touch on, like she did a version of Stairway to Heaven that was awesome, and she covered one of my favorite songs, Shine from Collective Soul. Um, give me a chance, give me a sign, shall we have that one, oh, got to let your love shine down, but yeah, so she did that song, and she did a cover of that other song, um, just when I needed you most. You left me just when I needed you most. She did those in the '90s, and you know, but yeah. So she got inducted, and then she um, figured, if she was going to do that, then she really was going to have to do an album uh, of rock music. And I don't think she wrote one or two tracks on there. She did a version of a song that she wrote called My Blue Tears. Now, My Blue Tears was on Linda Ronstadt's album "Get Closer" from the early 1980s, and you know, but it was more melodic. And the original, as it was recorded for that album, uh, which was, I really want to say, "Get Closer" was probably the last of the albums that Linda Ronstadt put out that had sort of a new wave vibe to it. If you remember anything about the early 1980s, MTV had just come, and it was like the era of the music video, and you needed to be visual in those music videos, and she was in her "Get Closer" video. She was quite visual, and then also uh, it needed to have kind of a new wave kind of vibe, kind of an upbeat thing, because that's what was playing. It was in that early experimental age of MTV, but everything was kind of upbeat, and even the more some of the more angst stuff, like um, the second video, the real video that launched MTV. We all know that the Buggles had "Video Killed the Radio Star," and that was the first video on MTV. But the very second video was Pat Benatar singing "You Better Run, You Better Run, You Better Hide, You Better Leave from My Side." That song. So, uh, and yeah, so um, it needed to be in that vein, that new wave kind of thing. So uh, we got, and I think that Linda Ronstadt was already experimenting in the new wave genre. She did an album called, I want to say, the album was "Hasten Down the Wind," and I think it was there that she did a cover of "Allison," which was a song written by Elvis Costello, or at least performed by Elvis Costello. But I think he wrote it, and I think the reason why uh, I think that he wrote it is because I think it was based on that they communicated, and he was like, he kind of liked it, and they had a cooperative experience with that. And I think what happened was they communicated, and she was like, "Well, send a couple of more songs over, and then let me know, and maybe I'll do them or whatever, if we can collaborate or something like that." And then of course she did um, the album "Mad Love," and in that she went to another new wave, an edgy kind of a new wave band and everything, and actually brought a couple of those guys over to work with her and her in on her album, and I don't think Elvis Costello made any kind of appearance on that album whatsoever. And I think that there's a couple of things that she did, a couple of songs that she did uh, for him on that album, but they weren't the ones that really got noticed or whatever. But and so later on, he was less than thrilled about the work that she had done of his songs for that album, "Mad Love." And then later on, of course, he kind of recanted that, and gave his appreciation. But that was the last. She did that album, and then of course she did right after that. I think she did a um, the off Broadway show of Pirates of Penzance, which did really really well, so well that they made a movie of it with Rex Smith and Linda Ronstadt and Kevin Kline and Angela Lansbury, and it was based off the strength of the musical. They decided to go ahead. Hey, this is working. Let's make a movie of it, and the movie, I love it. Because it looks like a play. The movie itself is a movie. It's not a play, but the movie looks as if you're watching a play. It really is that wonderful. And that's why I love it, because it looks like a theatrical experience. And I've always loved musical theater, and I still do. And this was the time of the '80s movie. It was like there were resurgence of the '80s musical movie. We had Grease, Pirates of Penzance, Xanadu. Grease 2 was going to come out, Fame. We had Fame, so all this kind of stuff. We were getting an era of musical movies for movie theaters that we hadn't seen in a while. I mean, the last time we saw anything like that was God, when they did West Side Story. There was kind of a lull, after that, Uh, but yeah, um, but yeah. So Belinda Ronstadt did. She did after that. After Pirates of Penzance, Linda Ronstadt came out with the Get Closer album, and Get Closer was the big video on MTV. And of course, I remember the other uh, releases that there were videos. There was uh, the song Lies that led on the album right into Tell Him, which was a cover of the Cider song from the 1960s, and so um, then it was very edgy and new wavy, and but these were older songs that were given a kind of a new wave treatment. But this was the last of the new wave kind of songs, because then after that, Linda Ronstadt moved to doing standards from the American Songbook, the Great American Songbook, the standards, the blue-eyed crooners, that kind of stuff, uh, and Cole Porter, Nat King Cole, Frank Sinatra, some Ella Fitzgerald, that kind of stuff, um, what you would call like a, you know, light jazz or something like that, ensemble or something like that. She did those, and then by the time she returned to pop music, well, she did a trio album, okay, and she guested on other people's albums, and she did the theme song for An American Tail and its sequel, American Tail, Fievel Goes West. That's the one that she did with James Ingram, but she didn't really do another um, uh, pop rock music album or anything until she came back with, and it was adult contemporary by the time she returned to it, which was uh, the Cry Like a Rainstorm, Howl Like a Wind, and that was a great album. It was big. It was a big uh, thing, and I loved it. And it was, um, yeah, that was a Grammy winning album with performances and everything like that with Aaron Neville, and uh, yeah, I don't think she really ever kind of returned to that. Everything after that was kind of smaller in scale. Even if she did some collaborative work and really great work, it just didn't get that level. That was the last time she really was at that level. And her voice, of course, was wonderful, and she didn't have her um, the palsy issue that she has now that prevents her from singing. That developed in the 2000s, 2009, 2010, something like that is when she started to notice it. So but yeah, let's see, how do I get off on this tangent? Oh, I was talking about the Get Closer album. Dolly Parton, Emmylou Harris, and Linda Ronstadt sang a version of My Blue Tears, and then of course that was, Dolly Parton wrote that one, and it starts out on her album that she did, Rockstar. She did that album, and My Blue Tears, and it starts out quite melodic. By the time it gets to its crescendo and it's fading out and everything, that was one of the hardest rocking tracks on that. But most of the songs, there's like 30 something songs on this, multiple collection of songs that Dolly Parton did, and she did earn her place in rock and roll after that album. So if you listen to it, it's like, yeah, she doesn't lose herself, she doesn't sell out, she still Dolly Parton, but damn, is some of that, she keeping up with some of the rockiness of it. I mean, she carries her own against Steve Perry, or I should say with Steve Perry in their version of Open Arms. But she did, oh, speaking of Perry, she did a song with Linda Perry, who was, she wrote this song for Four Non Blondes, and it's on Dolly Parton's album too, but I don't know. It's really a woman's song, but I like it. I like it because the chords are simple, and so I learned how to play it. So 25 years now, my life is still trying to get up a great big hill of hope for a destination. I realized quickly when I knew I should that the world was made up of brotherhood of man, or whatever that means. And so I cry sometimes when I'm lying in bed just to get it all out what's in my head, and I'm feeling a little peculiar. And I wake in the morning and I step outside and I take a deep breath. I get real high and I scream to the top of my lungs, what's going on? And I say, hey, yeah, yeah, hey, yeah, yeah. I say, hey, what's going on? There's like a whole second verse of that song too, but I want to do other songs too. When I was a teenager, I forget how old this song that I want to do came out, and it was from oh my god, I want to say Michael Penn. I think that was his name, and he's the brother of Sean Penn, and at the time was the brother-in-law of Madonna. But I mean, in my mind, it was like everybody was like that I knew. They were like, well, he's doing this because whatever connections to the music business, whatever. But I think in Hollywood, music and movies are all interconnected anyway. So it's like it is you get attention if you're visual and people know who you are and everything. So that's kind of cool. I don't mind that. But I actually think when I was a little kid, I didn't start out being a shy person. The shyness came later because we moved around a lot. But initially, of my own, I felt like I was kind of a gregarious person. Like my older sister, and we moved someplace, my older sister would send me out to say hello to some of the neighborhood kids, as a, hey, a peek over the fence to say hello. And then my sister could come up and be like, oh, I'm sorry, he's my little brother, whatever. He's, and to kind of break the ice. My sister used me to break the ice a lot in those situations. She'd be like, go say hi to them, whatever. So, but, and then the shyness that I got later came as I was just aware that we're moving around a lot, and my outward circle, I'm not really making connections that are lasting or whatever. When I was in first grade, there was it was first grade that I had to repeat. But then the friend that I met that it was in second grade, my best friend Jamie in second grade, and his first name was Earl, but we called him Jamie, or maybe his name was Jamie and his middle name, but I think his first name was Earl, but we called him Jamie. I don't know. Earl James, and I forget his last name. I don't know. But oh my God, he was like my first like real friend. You know what I mean? It wasn't any sort of weird. It wasn't anything. His second grade. It wasn't a crush or anything like that. There was nothing sexual about it. I wasn't a sexual person. I didn't have that kind of a part of my development yet or anything like that. So it really was a truly honest friend. There wasn't a crush or being in love or anything like that. It was just he was just my best friend, and he was the first person that I had a connection to that I was gonna miss, and it was his family, and they were moving, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so sad. But it was like, I don't know. I didn't know that was the first time that I was going to miss somebody. He was the first person that was going to be moving that I was going to miss. So I was kind of sad about that. But we exchanged, addresses and, where they were going to be moving to or whatever. And, we started just writing letters back and forth, you know. And, but that didn't happen right away. A few weeks after that, my mother had a really bad wreck. Um, she was coming home from picking up my dad's paycheck at work and was hit by a train in a pickup truck. And oh my God, it was traumatizing. Really, really traumatizing. And yeah, as you can imagine, being hit by a train would be. I mean, it was traumatizing for her, but also for us too. You know, the kids and everything, and the whole family can. You know, it was just an example of our family coming together when we could come together. Like my dad's mother came down, my aunt came down. It was, it's a lot of people coming down to help and see what could happen. You know, and um, people just, I don't know, don't really do a lot of that anymore. You know, but it used to be, and as we would fight. We're from Louisiana. We'd get mad at each other as family, especially the adults, and they would just brawl with fists. You know, uh, wherever it was just a fight. But if people got together, there was going to be a fight that would break out. But you can count on it. But then but that was just due to the deep passion that we had for family too. And we would come together and stand in support of each other and everything. And this is just one of these rough times. But this was, my mother was like, when she came home and she recovered, she's like, well, now you've got something to write and tell your friend about it. And so I wrote a letter, uh, and told my friend Jamie about it. And of course, they wrote a letter back. And then I wrote it. And so we became pen pals for a while. And then we moved. We decided once my mother got well, things got settled, my dad's job was going to change again or whatever. And at that time, we were like, if we're going to start over, I guess it was like we may as well move back home. I think at one point we were considering my dad taking a job. The company was going to open something or do something in Australia. And would we move from Louisiana to Australia? So for a while there, and my sister and I, we were like so excited. Yay, we're going to move to Australia and we're going to live with whatever Aboriginal people, and we'll learn how to make our own toys and things like that. You know, it's like great. I was like, it was fun for the excitement, but I also remember thinking, make my own toys, that sounds like it's going to suck. I mean, I played with Lincoln Logs, but Lincoln Logs kind of suck, like. So it's like I was all down for it, but also, God, was it really going to suck? Were we going to be, I didn't have the words for it, but the thing was, hey, were we going to be like primitives or whatever? It would have been fun. I would have enjoyed it or whatever, but we did move back home, But why did I start telling that story? I don't know. Oh, yeah. Something about when I was a teenager. Oh, yeah, have nothing to do with anything. I shy something, I don't know, whatever. I don't know how I started talking about this when I was going to talk about this one song I want to do by Michael Penn. And I know, I was talking about nepotism. I started talking about it, the nepotism, and this is how it happened, because I was going to say, hey, through all that, I wasn't like a naturally shy person. That came later, but I was an outgoing person. And because I was outgoing as a small child, I really feel like had we lived in a place where there was more industry, more opportunity for industry or something like that, I probably would have wanted to go out as an actor, because I certainly did when I was here as a teenager. If I saw that there was a production happening, I would go and I would audition. I never got picked for anything, but a lot more opportunity I think I would have had. I would have wanted to have been a child actor or something like that when I was a kid. I was just that, because that's just what we did. Like the older adults, would pass around musical instruments, guitars usually, sometimes keyboard or something like that, and they would sing songs together and for each other. One of the coolest times, my dad took me to visit my older adult cousin, Floyd, he's no longer with us, but Floyd was in the 80s, 70s going in the 80s, he was considered uh, the ghost of Hank Williams Jr. Hank Williams, his voice, the ghost voice of Hank Williams or something like that. And he played like on a lot of telethons and everything. And looked a lot, he looked a lot like Hank Williams. And his voice sounded identical to Hank Williams when he sang, you know. He just had that, you know. And, so in our family, he was a big deal, But you know how like some people, uh, make a name for themselves in Vegas or something like that, impersonating like Elvis and can do, Elvis, he could do Hank Williams. It's just that Hank Williams, uh, was old country and not that many people cared about him, but whatever. Yeah, but that's what it is. My family, we were very musical. I didn't play music, but we'd get together, the kids, and we would put on these shows, these productions, these plays or whatever, And a lot of times it was it was just, I don't know, that's what people did, we'd entertain ourselves and our families and stuff like that at gatherings. And I would have wanted to have been an actor. And I did some theater, stage work and everything like that. Never got like big money for it, but I got a lot of people that would let me kind of live in the back of a theater or here or that or something. It was always, work, sing for your supper kind of stuff, But so I didn't mind nepotism. I would have enjoyed it. But yeah, I didn't mind that Michael Penn probably got notice and connection through some nepotism or whatever, but he did this song and I really loved it. And of course, a lot of creative work and a lot of creative synthesizing and everything like that. And what's going on with his hair? I'm trying to cheat the hair because I'm very thin, basically bald right up through there. So I'm just rocking this roughed up comb over. But anyway, let me do this song. It's called No Myth. The album is called March, probably because of the time, the beat, whatever. I think everything was like to a marching time. All the songs on there. She goes, but wants to be sure I know. She hopes we can be friends. I think, yeah, I guess we can say I didn't think to ask her why. She blocked her eyes and drew the curtains, a knots I've got left to untie. What if I were Romeo in black jeans? What if I was Heathcliff? It's no myth. Maybe she's just looking for someone to dance with. See, it was just too soon to tell. I'm looking for some parallel. Could be an endless game. We said goodbye before hello. A secret she will never know. Never dig a hole to China. I catch the first shot before so cool. What if I were Romeo in black jeans? What if I was Heathcliff? It's no myth. Maybe she's just looking for someone to dance with. Sometime from now, about to pressure. Some things in life cannot That's a very abridged version of that song too, but yeah, I like it. Um, but the context. Later, I got older. I started listening to it. And I'm like, what is he trying to say in this song? Because I tried to examine the lyrics. Because I'm one of these people that I'm also what I wanted to do, and I still am. I'm still working on a book of poetry. It's. I thought it was finished, and I intended to have it out right after the first of this year. Like right now, I intended it to be out, but I'm not finished with it. It's just not. I'm not finished with it. So I'm still working on it, and I also still have to figure out um, where to self-publish it. But aside from that, I did one of the things I wanted to be was a writer, uh, and so I pay very close attention to the lyrics of a song. And so in this song, he's talking about, you know, she breaks up with him and hopes they can be friends, but he didn't think to ask why. And then he's like, "My secret, she will never know. What is the secret? Um, that if he digs a hole to China, he'll uh, if I dig a hole to China, I'll if I dig a hole to China, I'll jump the first junk to Soho." Uh, so and then the bridge he talks about, don't send an investigator uh, uh, to find him unless he can dance like a stair overseas. And so I don't know. It's like, do those lyrics mean anything, or are they just there, to be part of a song and make a rhyme or something? Are they nonsensical, or do they mean something? Is he saying, hey, by the way, if it came right down to it, if I got stuck in a hole, I would turn a trick with whatever, and uh, do whatever it takes to get to Soho, whatever. Like if I dig a hole to China, I'll do what I can to dig myself out of it, and that's my secret. Is that a big secret? I don't know. Did that mean anything? Did that part of the song mean what I think it meant? Um, that basic, and the context of that is like not even about doing whatever. It's more like saying, the secret would be that if she were to stay, if it would have worked out, I would have done everything to keep us afloat. Like it would have, I would have given my all to that relationship. And I think just making the analogy of, if I dig a hole to China, I'll uh, take the first junk to Soho, basically, or whatever, like whatever that, that I have a knack and a tenacity, and I'll do whatever it takes to make something work, regardless of, And so I think he's kind of, I don't know. I don't know. I just, when I listen to a song, that I want to go and I want to check out lyrics. And now, today, it's easier. When I was a kid, they didn't always print lyrics. And so sometimes you're hearing the lyrics and you're wondering, hey, does it mean what I think it means, or does it make sense, or whatever? And uh, and then there was a book called Song Hits. It was a magazine, so I would buy the Song Hits magazine, and we could look up the lyrics of our favorite songs in the Song Hits magazine. They weren't always produced in the album or whatever. They weren't always printed, So, but we could find the magazine, and we could find them printed up in Song Hits magazine. Do you guys ever like buy a Song Hits magazine and read your lyrics if they weren't in your liner notes? And now a lot of you can just look it up online, the lyrics of a song, and of course, you can't really copyright the title. So if you go to put the title of your favorite song, if then you're going to get a listing of about 6 or 7 different songs that have the same title. This is a song I learned. I actually learned this song. I remember the song being out there because it was part of that whole era of Linda Ronstadt when she was doing albums with Riddle Nilsson. She did one album with them, put it out. I think the album was What's New. I think that's one, and it did really, really well. And I think she followed it up with two other albums, and then they were all published as one collection, as sort of a. It wasn't even like a greatest hits from those albums. It was like all three albums in one collection, and it would have been neat to see all those put together with another album that she did later on. She did an album called "Humming to Myself," which was small ensemble, small band ensemble. But, rather than a large orchestra, but but anyway, this song was part of what she did. And what I remember, what I saw when I watched the video was that this was when she was romantically linked with Jim Carrey. That Jim Carrey, at the beginning of his career. And he was in her video for this song called You Took Advantage of Me. I'm a sentimental sap, that's all. What's the use of trying not to fall? You made your kill. I had no will, you took advantage of me. I'm just like an apple on a bough, and you're gonna shake me down somehow. What's the use? You've cooked my goose, you took advantage of me. I get so hot and bothered, I don't know my elbow from my ear. I suffer something awful when you're going something worse. Even worse when you're near. Here I am with all my bridges burned, just a babe in arms where you're concerned. Lock the doors and call me yours, you took advantage of me. Lock the doors, call me yours, you took advantage of me. Yeah, you took advantage of me. You took advantage of me. Okay. But what else what other kind of songs do I want to know? I don't know. I guess Linda Ronstadt, what can I say? I had no idea that she was as diverse as she was. When I first came to notice her, was it was the video for Get Closer, on MTV. I used to see the MTV video Get Closer, and then after that, I used to love just getting our little HBO guide, our little premium channel that we had, that we could look at our little monthly guide and read all about the programming and the movies and stuff. And they didn't have a lot of original content back then. So we would see, it was almost movies. So it was like, wow, you saw some movies back then. Today, there are so many different streaming and networks and everything that they all kind of diversify. But back in those days, it's like you would get HBO and all your movies would come to HBO. Maybe you'd got Showtime later on, so between the two or something. But this was just, in the days of early cable, really before it expanded, HBO was called Home Box Office, and they would just call it initials for HBO for shorthand, but it really was Home Box Office. And it was all about movies. There'd be some original content later on. They'd do a little Fraggle Rock. They do a little, not necessarily the news, which was their sketch program or something like that. But it was just, Yeah, but I remember reading about the Pirates of Penzance, so that's where I came to love that movie. And then and then MTV, she was doing a video for Skylark, you know. Here, just her and her 1940s look, uh, under, you know, an umbrella, singing to this guy, you know, just like, wow, this is different. Uh, I did not know that she was singing older music. I got the reference though. I got that she was singing songs that she looked uh, like an old timey person, and she was playing, you know, and the song and everything, because it sounded different than rock and roll that was out there, you know. But because MTV used to, it would play that, it would play some avant-garde stuff, so she kind of tapped into um, something that was unique at the time, you know. But yeah. Um, but I didn't know really. It was mainly she was kind of high profile, but she was high profile in these very different eras of what was going on, and I had no idea that I'd been hearing her music in my dad's car radio for years. I had no idea this was the same voice that was singing "When Will I Be Loved," you know. I had no idea that that was Linda Ronstadt singing that song. I had no idea that what else does she do? Silver Threads and Golden Needles. I did not know that that was Linda Ronstadt singing that song on my dad's radio that I'd been listening to for years. You know, I didn't know. I didn't make the connection until the Trio record came out, where she did Trio with Dolly Parton and Emmylou Harris, and then I would hear that song, the single from that first album that really did well on, you know, it was "To Know Him Is to Love Him," which wasn't even really country music. It was um, old school harmony, like you know, early pop music that would, you know, yeah, it was a good song though. They're a good rendition of it. Um, but I think my appreciation for Linda Ronstadt has to do with familiarity. It's like every once in a while she would pop up, and I'd be like, "Wow, this voice is everywhere. It permeates like the music industry." Uh, and she guested on so many other people's work that she influenced, um, that I'd been hearing it long before video killed the radio star, you know, on MTV. But that was my, because that was my musical maturity coming into, that was when I was starting to appreciate music, uh, around second grade going into third grade, you know, which the um, you know so yeah. Well, you know, I'm thinking about this is because earlier today I was watching a YouTube video of the first 3 hours of uh, the premiere of MTV and all the music they played for about 3 hours. That was kind of cool. That was like, now it's like one of the favorite things that I go back every few months, and I'll go back and I'll watch it just for entertaining myself. Because back then they only had like 40 or 50, you know, music videos, and so that it would just recycle over and over again. Uh, so, but yeah. What can I do for you guys? What can I sing for you? Play for you, whatever. Solomon Burke did this song, and then later it was included in the Dirty Dancing movie, and my mother loved it. And of course, I loved it too. Before my mother loved it, I knew the movie. When your baby leaves you all alone, and nobody calls you on the phone, Don't you feel like crying? Don't you feel like crying? Here I am, honey. Come on, come on. You got me. When you're all alone in your lonely room, and there's nothing but the smell of her perfume. Don't you feel like crying? Don't you feel like crying? Here I am, honey. Come on, come on. You got me. Oh, nothing can be sadder than a glass of wine alone. Loneliness, loneliness is such a waste of your time. Oh yeah, you don't ever have to walk alone, you see. Come on, take my hand, baby, won't you walk with me? Oh yeah. When you're waiting for a voice to come in the night, oh, but there's no one. Oh, don't you feel like crying? Don't you feel like crying? Here I am, honey. Come on, come on. Right? I don't know. Um, Ooh, another crossover that did a lot of stuff was Ronnie Millsap. He did. I used to listen to my dad, like I said, riding around in my dad's car. My dad listened to a lot of country music. Uh, that's what he loved to, that's what he loved, and that's what he listened to. And you ride in dad's car, and he's driving. You listen to what he wants to listen to. So I picked up a lot of appreciation for country music, even though it's rock and roll. Got to be rock and roll. So I don't think. Uh, from my infusion of listening to rock music in my station and everything like that, and then listening to country music, even as we started listening to hair metal and everything, it's like a southern rock. It just sounded, very country to me anyway. So, you know, uh, they begin to merge even more. And so today, I really can barely tell the difference between country music and rock music. I remember Dwight Yoakam did a song called "Little Sister." Little sister, don't you? But you know who did that song beforehand was I forget the name of the band, but it was in this uh, MTV thing that I was talking about. The first 3 hours of MTV. There's Robert Plant, and he's playing with the band. He's guesting. He's doing guest vocals with this band, but he does a version of Little Sister. Little sister, don't you do what your big sister done? That's a rockabilly kind of stuff. So, um, yeah. So, and then of course he did the his he did some solo stuff in the '80s. That really loved Robert Plant doing "Tall Cool One." And he did oh my God, he formed a band called the Honey Drippers, and they did the song "Sea of Love." Yeah, come with me, my love, to the sea of love. I want to tell you just how much I love you. And so I was like, that's great, but yeah. But very Hawaiian influenced music. And I do have a lap steel guitar that I intended to learn how to play, but I never am any place where I can do anything other than I'm in my apartment. I can't really do anything where I can just practice or play much. Uh, and honestly, I'm a little lazy too. Um, but yeah, I should really break that out and learn how to play slide guitar. When I was a kid, I was given, it was one of my grandfathers. It was a Gibson guitar, and then I was all an acoustic, and then my dad traded it with one of my uncles for this really awesome electric slide guitar. And then that uncle, um, sometime later, a few months later, that I don't remember how, but he died, uh, and the other guitar found its way, came back to me. My dad got it back, and so, but I didn't. At that time, I was going to school. I was also trying to be a writer. And when I say that I was trying to be a writer, I'm saying that I had a table set up in my room, a card table with a desk, an electric typewriter, and I was working on this manuscript. It was that thick by the time I gave it up, because I just realized that, well, that it was melodramatic. It wasn't very good, and it was even for me at being at that age, probably about 14 years old or whatever. I just got I had so many different things that I wanted to do. I found it hard to concentrate on one endeavor, and so I didn't do that. I didn't write. And at that point, as later on, I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a lot of these writings and I'm going to put them in the back of my mind. And one day when it's ready, I'm going to bring them all out and I'm going to write them. And that story, though, I'm still there. There is a component that I'm working on, because what I did not realize is that it was the earliest form of uh, a, a a melodramatic soap opera type format. Um, in the '80s, there was a series of books from this writer who called herself V.C. Andrews, was the pen name, and then since then, the family has come back and they have ghostwritten since her death or whatever. A lot of, so that kind of of course they've kind of cheapened it and it's become like kind of, whatever. But it was about the four kids that got locked in the attic so that the mother could try to win the inheritance of her father, and it was very incestuous, and it was whatever. Supposedly somewhat based on a story that was told to the writer in some sort of way, and then she like seriously dramatized it or whatever. But so this was my version of it, and it was called the title was stupid too. The title was Motherly Love, and it's not an Oedipus thing at all. It was just I'd read these books and I was like, oh, whatever, I could write the same story. So this was a mother, uh, and of course she's involved with her husband, and they have a couple of children, or she's at least got a teenage daughter, but the teenage daughter is involved with the boyfriend, but the boyfriend also gets involved with the mother. Uh, and then, of course, the big twist is the boy that's involved with the daughter and also involved with the mother turns out to be the son that the mother gave away for adoption before she married uh, her husband, and so it's like just real scandalous and blah blah blah. And it was just gonna jumpstart that, be the big thing. It was gonna be my version of Flowers in the Attic. And I'm like, how old was I when I started writing this fucking thing? Like 13 years old, I started writing this story. And I mean, I mean, I had also by that time discovered uh, the Penthouse Forum, in the back of some of the magazines or whatever. So it's like it's just I couldn't, I'm a teenager wanting to write these stories for an adult audience, not pornographic or anything like that, but I didn't want to hold back. I didn't want to write as a teenager and people tell me, hey, you can't say these words. You can't write and you can't say these words and you can't write about these things because you're still a child. And that's what would have happened if I had written the stories that I wanted to write when I was 13. Uh, I would have been told, you can't write this because you're not a child. This is adult material. And so I could not have, and I'm reading stories. I'm reading, you know, paperbacks were everywhere, paperback books, you get them, and they were everywhere. And there was always an element of romance in some of them and whatever. And you couldn't, um, as a child, you couldn't write and compete in that market. Even if I knew how to reach out to a publicist and find a publisher or something like that, there's no way I could have taken this work and presented it to my parents and say, hey, this is what I'm writing about. And it wouldn't have been, it was very conservative, Shreveport town. There's no way I could have written anything of the sort. Um, so I just, I'll write about it later, and then uh, later becomes pushed back to much later because what happens is I just go through a series of jobs, just trying to stay afloat and really trying to support a lot of bad habits also, that take precedence. It's like the only reason I'm living and working is so that I can afford to go out and party, you know, and I would always write on the side and everything and keep these notes. And I know these stories. They're still in me. They're still in my mind. Uh, but I can't write a story called Motherly Love. That's- uh, the story's there. It's very much a part of what I want to write. Um, but soap operas are they're a TV medium, really, and they're also going out of fashion. There's a couple of them that still air on some of the networks, and they just started another one called Beyond the Gates. I don't particularly care for that one. I don't think the acting's very good in that one, but it's soap opera. Acting's not very good in a lot of soap operas anyway. But sometimes you get involved with the story, you'll kind of forget the uh, the quick acting, whatever. But the over melodramatic style of it, because acting style has changed. In the 80s, 1970s and 80s, everything was melodramatic and you were being told stories and everything. And now uh, there's a higher expectation uh, of content. And I think reality TV came along. And for some reason, people thought that reality TV is not scripted or something like that, and it sort of is. The pinnacle of the effect of reality TV, where the acting style has changed and becomes more natural. So there's not people doing these really dramatic monologues and speeches or whatever. You know, uh, the pinnacle of that was probably George C. Scott as General Patton at the beginning of Patton, where he's like, "We're gonna, like, we're gonna win this war. We're just gonna fum up, whatever that speech that he gives as Patton uh, is the pinnacle of over the top acting, and the best example I can have of the effect of natural acting style, quote quote natural, where there's no inflection or reaction or nothing that's really allowed to be melodramatic or anything like that, happens to be um, um, that movie. was it About a Boy or Boy's Life or something like that? Another one they made with Patricia Arquette as the mother and the boy, and they follow him through 12 years of his life living in this family. And what happens is the script is being written every year as he's living his life, somewhat based upon the happenings of his life. And the acting in there is like, there's not a point to this movie. It's just watching, it's a study of watching this kid grow up. And it's supposed to be, hey, you're watching this boy grow up in the course of a movie, and isn't it new and isn't it unique? And no, it's not, because TV viewers, we have watched people grow up in sitcoms for years. We've watched children grow into adults on family sitcoms, so it's not really a unique concept. But yeah, it follows him from like 12 years old all the way to his freshman year in college, and like not a damn thing happened. I mean, it was interesting to watch the acting. But Patricia Arquette was wonderful in that movie because well, nothing happens, and she's great at playing a scene where not that much is going on, but she's got internal stuff and she wants to communicate what's going on internally, and she's great. And I think she win an Oscar for that one. Yeah, I think she did. So I don't know. What am I talking about? I don't know. But I think that ooh, I know. I was talking about growing up in the 80s and music and everything, and I was talking about country rock and whatever, and listening to stuff. And this was Ronnie Millsap, one of the voices that I heard, Ronnie Millsap, and crossover. He used to write for Elvis Presley also, and everything. But what I did not know is how much of his songs, how much of his music, how much of his voice that I heard growing up in my dad's vehicles or whatever. And I still can't do his songs the way that he does them. I can't do anybody's songs the way they do them. I can only try them the way that I know them. I thumb my way from LA back to Knoxville. Found out those bright lights ain't where I belong. From a phone in the rain I called to tell her I've had a change of dreams and I'm coming home. But tears filled my eyes when I found out she was gone. Smoky Mountain rain keeps on falling. I keep on calling her name. Smoky Mountain rain, I keep on searching. Can't go on this way. She's somewhere in the Smoky Mountain rain. I thumped the diesel down outside that cafe. He said he could take me as far as Gatlinburg. So I climbed up in his cab, a wet, cold, and lonely. I dried my eyes and I told him about her. I've got to find her. Can you make these big wheels burn? Smoky Mountain rain keeps on falling. I keep on calling her name. Smoky Mountain rain, Yeah, I think I'm kind of tired of playing songs now. I need to give myself a rest. I've been talking in this video for over an hour, so geez. If you got to the end of this video, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for playing with me. And listen, if you like me and you live alone and you're single, you're perpetually single, take advantage. Do some hobbies, pick up a pencil, draw, learn to paint, cook, entertain yourselves, do fun things, and then cultivate wonderful, beautiful friendships. I may not be in a romantic relationship. That does not mean that I'm going to deprive myself of human connection, because my friends are some of the most awesome, wonderful friends. And my friends, they last a lot longer than any of the relationships that I've ever had. I don't know. I'm not good at romance. I'm not good at making romance work. I'm very good at making friendships work. So, you know, God bless you, and love and light. I love you, and take care of yourselves. Bye.